Out there at CPAC in National Harbor, Maryland. Let's get more on the conservative meeting and how conservatives are viewing President Trump. Earlier today, I spoke with Texas Senator Ted Cruz and started by asking him about his thoughts on the first month of the Trump administration.
You look at the cabinet nominations, this is an all-star cabinet. This is the most conservative cabinet we have seen in decades. You look at Judge Gorsuch to the Supreme Court, a terrific replacement for Justice Scalia. And then you look at the executive actions, the policies that have been put in place, whether reinstating the Mexico City rules, ending the taxpayer funding for overseas abortions, or instructing the Department of Homeland Security to enforce the laws and not release violent criminal illegal aliens, or on the economic side, approving the Keystone Pipeline, freezing the federal civilian workforce, freezing the job-killing regulations that are coming out. I think we've seen a lot of strong substance in this opening month.
To look at the left and the reaction to these first days, it's significant. I mean, there's a big pushback. Here's what Keith Ellison, one of the key possibilities for DNC head, said at a debate last night.
Donald Trump has already done a number of things which legitimately raised the question of impeachment. On day one, he was in violation of the emoluments clause. This is a part of the Constitution that says, as the president, you can't get payments from a foreign power. The day people checked into his hotel and started paying him, who were foreign dignitaries, he was in violation of that law. It is about the integrity of the presidency.
So what do you say to that?
Well, I think a lot of Washington Democrats are out of their minds. They are in a state of denial, and they're in a state of rage. They're really angry. They're angry not at Republicans, not even at Trump. They're angry at the American people. They're angry at the voters. How dare you elect a Republican president and Republican majorities in both houses? I'm calling it Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, they're out of their minds. And you know, Keith Ellison, I'll give him credit for one thing. It's truth in advertising. The Democrats, the lesson they took from this election is they think Hillary was too moderate, and their party is galloping in the direction of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. And unfortunately, I think we're going to see more of that rather than less.
But on the substance of his argument, you're a constitutionalist. Are you concerned at all about business ties and the emoluments clause?
Listen, I think those are reasonable questions for people to raise, and they should be examined and looked at. There's always a role for Congress to hold any president accountable, and that should be true Republican or Democrat. But the Democrats are not in the mode of raising reasonable questions. They are in the mode of losing their minds, of screaming. It's not showing respect for the democratic process. It's not showing respect for the voters. I think that's unfortunate.
You obviously said some tough things about candidate Donald Trump. He said some tough things about you. I'm not going to play you a soundbite of all the things because it was the campaign. I remember. Yes, it was the campaign. Have you talked to President Trump?
Oh, sure. I've talked to the president many, many times since the election. And what I expressed to him is I said, this is an historic opportunity. We got to deliver. And I told him I want to do everything I can to roll up my sleeves and go to work helping lead the fight to accomplish what we promised the voters. I believe this year we are poised for this to be the most productive Congress in decades. And if we deliver on our promises, we're going to repeal Obamacare, finally.
And replace it.
And replace it. We're going to replace it with patient-centered health care reform that puts you in charge of your health care with your doctor without government getting in the way, that will see lower costs and more choices and more ability to control your own health care. And on top of that, this year I believe we're going to confirm Judge Gorsuch a strong constitutionalist to the Supreme Court, and we're going to pass fundamental tax reform. I hope a simple flat tax and abolish the IRS. And if we do all of that, 2017 will be an historically year to unleash economic growth.
Well, let's talk some specifics. On tax reform specifically, there seem to be some big hurdles. It's obviously going to be rolled out in coming weeks. But are you for this border adjustment, which is a tax on imports coming from other countries?
I think the details of tax reform are going to be worked out in the course of this year. Right now, we're in the middle of Obamacare repeal. Tax reform is likely to happen this summer or this fall. And there are different approaches. I think we're going to get it done.
Even though there's a split in Republicans on some of these big issues.
Sure, and we're going to debate and arrive on the best solutions. I'll tell you what I am urging President Trump and what I'm urging Republicans in both houses. It is be bold and be simple. That if we're going to do tax reform, and I believe we are, don't do something small and incremental, just nibbling around the edges. Do something big and meaningful that unleashes the economy, that creates millions of new jobs.
We're approaching another fiscal cliff here. Debt ceiling increase March 15th. You obviously have a history with the debt ceiling fight. What about this upcoming debt ceiling increase?
Well, history has shown that the debt ceiling is consistently one of the best vehicles to pass meaningful fiscal and economic reforms. So I hope that the new administration approaches these as opportunities to actually get our fiscal house in order, to address the debt and the deficit that's bankrupting our kids and grandkids. It's going to be a moment for the new administration and leaders in Congress to stand up and fight for what we believe.
Well, you know, you defended the shutdown and the standing up about Obamacare back in 2013, and there was a lot of criticism about it. At that time, the shutdown itself, some estimates cost the economy an estimated $24 billion, 120,000 jobs in 2 weeks. What do you tell President Trump about this fight, considering how you've looked at it at the past?
Well, let me be very clear. I didn't defend the shutdown.
You defended standing up for Obamacare defunding.
Absolutely, yes. But what I said repeatedly in the midst of the shutdown, we shouldn't shut the government down. I voted over and over again to fund the federal government, to fund the entirety of the federal government, but not Obamacare. And it was Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama who shut the government down. They're the ones who said, if you don't fund this failed, disastrous health care law, we'll shut everything down. That was irresponsible. One prominent paper did an editorial calling me the minority maker, said that in 2014, Cruz single-handedly is going to keep Harry Reid as majority leader. The prediction not only didn't come true, it came wildly disproven. We won historic victories. We won the largest majority in the House in decades. We won 9 Senate seats and retired Harry Reid. And the reason, a big part of the reason for that, I believe, is that fight over Obamacare that people were energized. And I'll tell you, the fight over Obamacare is also a major reason that President Trump defeated Hillary Clinton. Obamacare isn't working, and the American people are fed up with this disastrous law. Bottom line, you'd say to the Trump administration, get something for the debt ceiling increase. Yes, and I think that's a principle going forward, that we should be fixing the problem. I heard you today say it could be a Supreme Court vacancy by the summer. You know something we don't? No inside information. Just most of my professional career has been as a Supreme Court litigator, and I know the court well. I think the odds are very good we'll see a vacancy this summer. If not this summer, next summer. But I think we're going to see another vacancy. You know, justices don't like it when people kind of nudge them out, so they'll go when they decide to go. The next vacancy, which is going to be the opportunity to shift the course of this court, to put a 5-justice majority of constitutionalists on the court, that's going to be Armageddon. And we need to be prepared to make the case to the American people. Do you want to be considered? You know, I am very happy in the Senate. It's a real privilege to represent 27 million Texans. And the Senate's the arena. The Senate's the battleground. Every one of these fights, whether it's confirming conservatives to the court, whether it's repealing Obamacare, whether it's passing a flat tax, all of them are being fought in the Senate, and I'm thrilled to be in the arena. When you look at the first 30 days here, do you think, through the prism of what you've been through, what you would do differently as president? And 2, do you have the bug to run again? Well, look, one step at a time. I have the bug. I am running again. I'm running for re-election in Texas. Look, you wouldn't be human. You wouldn't be alive if there are not some moments of wistful thinking. We came very, very close. We were in a 17-person field, and we were the last man standing. But we didn't win. And I respect the democratic process. President Trump won. And so my focus now is not on the political side of things. It's on delivering on our promises. Senator Cruz, thanks for the time. Thanks, Brett.